Reports surfaced this week that yet another Vatican document further restricting the traditional Latin Mass is being readied for release. According to independent Vatican journalist Diane Montagna, sources say it has the backing of Vatican Secretary of State Cardinal Pietro Parolin and has been submitted to Pope Francis to review. Now, we have not independently verified this story, but all of this follows Pope Francis's motu proprio, Traditionis Custodes, which severely limited the celebration of the traditional Latin Mass about 2 years ago. Here to discuss what could be coming and why, I'm joined by a priest of the Diocese of Rockville Centre, New York, and contributor to thecatholicthing.org. Msgr. Fink, thank you so much for being here. You wrote a piece this week in The Catholic Thing titled "No Mercy for Latin Mass Lovers." In your column, you write that you're a former Episcopalian, you are not a TLM promoter, and certainly not a denier of the validity of the Novus Ordo. I mean, you've been celebrating that Mass throughout your priesthood, close to 50 years now. Monsignor, what do you make of the hostility that the Vatican and Pope Francis seem to have for this perfectly valid form of the liturgy, the traditional Latin Mass? And what have you observed from the community in your diocese who embrace it?
Well, that's the $64 question, isn't it? What the heck is going on? Why the terrible hostility? Why, this belligerence towards a group of people who are largely just devout, practicing Catholics who find that the traditional Latin Mass nourishes them in a way that they don't find that the Novus Ordo does. So I have good friends, priests and lay people who are in that boat. First of all, there's certainly nothing doctrinally wrong with that Mass. That couldn't possibly be the case. It was the Mass of the Church for so many centuries. So it can't be criticized for that. And on practical terms, in a church that's, well, I don't want to say desperate, but I'll use that word, desperate to attract people, to attract people, especially young people. I've been a priest
Monsignor, we've got the Diocese of Baltimore shuttering half of their parishes. You've got the same situation up in Cincinnati. When you're seeing that kind of collapse, if you have something attracting young people, and you nailed it. You go to the Latin Mass, there are young families, there are filled with children, and on top of it, you get the artiste types and urbane types that otherwise might not be drawn to a Catholic liturgy. The question is, and what we all should be considering is, what is drawing them? Why are they coming to this? I think it's a reaction to the culture around them that has discarded tradition and the eternal, and here you find it in stark relief. And there's that element of the mystery in the traditional Latin Mass that I have to say it's more tangible there than perhaps in some of the Novus Ordo iterations. I'll give you a reaction to that.
Yeah, fair enough. Certainly, that's what you just said. I think is precisely what any of these young people would say. And so it's a bit of a mystery to me. You don't like to try to, only God can read minds and hearts. But, being human, you can't help try to figure out why this hostility. And I really don't get it.
Monsignor, as if Traditionis Custodes were not restrictive enough, this purported new document would, according to sources, prohibit all priests, other than those belonging to the TLM orders and institutes and societies, from offering Mass in the old rite. It also would prohibit bishops from celebrating or authorizing the traditional Latin Mass in their own dioceses. So I guess my question, Monsignor, is Pope Benedict issued Summorum Pontificum, which permitted wider use of the TLM at the discretion of the priest. And for years, the Old Mass and the Novus Ordo existed side by side. Peace had been established. In a church with multiple liturgies, the Melkite, the Maronite, Coptic, Chaldean, countless others, why is this particular liturgy anathema in Rome?
I wish I could give you a good answer. It is a mystery to me. And again, I wish I could read some of their minds. The reasons they give don't impress me. I don't, as you say, we already have multiple rights, and beyond multiple rights, we have multiple expressions of liturgical piety because of all the different ethnicities we serve.
Right.
You know, you could go to two Novus Ordo masses and find them very, very different. You know, one more subdued, one people practically dancing in the aisles, and but that's not a source of disunity. But having a Latin mass is a source of disunity. I don't get that. And the whole nostalgia argument, I don't think these young people are.
No.
I don't think that's their motive. They never experienced it back in the day.
Right.
I think they're searchers, and they look around and they experience this, and it moves them in a way that we should be very grateful for.
There are more people now in that 18 to 25 age group identifying as nones, having no religious affiliation. If this is an attraction to them, if they're fascinated and drawn to the depth and the mystery of the faith, why not make it available? And as you say, on a practical level, we could get rid of the multiple language masses being offered by the one poor priest in the parish. He could do a Latin mass and have the Hispanics and the Polish and the whoever come in, and everybody can understand the same mass. You can read it in your book. I have to say, one of my vivid experiences with my family, we were traveling in Paris, and to go to that Latin mass in Paris and be surrounded by people from all over the world, and you're still unified. There is power in that. And I think the church is throwing away one of its great gifts if we outlaw this in the way that we're moving. Monsignor Charles Fink, thank you so much for your time. And as a side note, head of the Workers' Party in the UK, George Galloway, a progressive, recently met with the Pope, and he told the Telegraph that during his meeting with Pope Francis, he urged him not to ban the traditional Latin Mass and told him it is poetry in motion.
Right. Yeah, I hope that saner heads will prevail, but it doesn't look good right now.
Thank you, Monsignor.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. God bless you.